Hey, earlier this year I was reading Neil Patel and Matthew Woodward, and they did some pretty cool posts about how to implement FAQ-rich snippets or schema markup on the website so that I guess the main reason would be so you'd get those questions and answers that would show up in Google search on the search pages. And the thinking behind that is it helps boost rankings, you get more exposure on the SERPs, and ultimately, of course, more traffic to your website. I thought it was pretty cool, and I thought I'd try it. I've never done that. I've never done any real schema markup other than just, well, install a plugin. So I followed through and set up a few articles that way with some FAQs loaded in there, and actually worked, which was a huge win for me because I'm not a coder, and well, I have a lot of trouble with code, anything technical, but it actually worked, so it's cool. So if you're interested in this and you actually want to know how to execute it, don't go to my blog because I don't really discuss it. I discuss the case study here I'm going to talk about in a second. They cover it really well how to actually do it. So now let's move on. The point of today is to talk about the results from actually doing this on a much bigger scale. Okay, so instead of just doing it on one or two articles, I actually set out from July 13 to August 26, and I put in FAQs along with the markup on 59 articles on one of my sites. So basically, generally they were added to an existing article, but there were some new articles that I put in FAQ. So let's start with what I mean by FAQ. So these are like a section that would be added to an article that would be a list of questions and answers, generally fairly common questions and answers that they would even have some search traffic to it. So I would do anywhere from 5 to 18 or 19. Most of them were about 10 questions and answers for the group. In fact, that was the average. So it's actually extensive. I didn't just do 2 or 3 questions and answers. I actually put in quite a few. Most of them had around 10 or so. That was the average. So they're fairly extensive, and the average word count was over 900 words just for the FAQ section. So when I added it to the existing articles, which most were over 2,000 words, some quite a bit longer, it added a really large chunk of text, so it rounded out the articles quite nicely. So the short answer in terms of the results of this case study, it's now been about 3 months since I put in the last one. It was end of August. I had 34 of the 59 articles increase in traffic and 25 of the articles decrease in traffic. Now, I don't know, I thought the results would be better. The overall average, well, the overall traffic increase to those 59 articles was 10.7%, which isn't terrible. That's pretty good. This is an established site. Growth is, a 10% traffic growth like that is actually pretty significant given the amount of traffic the site already gets, and a lot of those articles had a fair amount of traffic, some not so much. So that wasn't bad. I actually thought it would be better though, so I wouldn't say that this was a huge success. But before you jump out and go do this, because this wasn't cheap, I ordered 59 almost 1,000 word articles in the form of frequently asked questions. I spent a lot of time. I actually did all the keyword research. I came up with the questions myself, and then I would outsource the research for the actual answers. So this whole process took quite a while. It took close to a month and a half to do 59 articles, and I put a fair amount of time every day into it. So the 10.7% growth, while that's kind of cool, it didn't really meet my expectations. Okay, so and I need to caveat that 10% growth with the following. Okay, first off, there's no way I can conclude that any growth for any of those articles is a result of actually doing the FAQ-rich snippets. I mean, there's just too many factors in SEO to be able to say that. It's a correlation for sure, but can I say, hey, if you go out and do 50 FAQs in your articles that you're going to get 10% growth for your site? No, I can't say that. So I can't say it's a magic bullet. Neil Patel and Matthew Woodward, they had some pretty sweet rankings increases when they did this for their articles. At least what was profiled on their blog posts, it was just a few articles. It wasn't 59. That was why I did this case study. I want to see what would happen, on a much broader scale. So just, don't take this as, oh wow, if I do that, I'm going to get 10% growth on my website, because that's not necessarily true. You might get better. You might get worse. So that's all I could say about that. The other thing is it's only been 2 to 3 months since I wrapped up that part of the project, so that was August 26th. So it's actually still pretty early days. I still may improve the rankings over time, although Neil and Matthew showed some pretty quick results in terms of any ranking increases they had in Google search. So maybe, you know, I've already, whatever gains I'm going to enjoy, I've already enjoyed them, I don't know. But it is only 2 to 3 months. So that's 2 to 3 months is not a long time in SEO worlds here. Okay, and the last thing, and this is pretty important, is the seasonal impact, because I did that pretty much height of summer, and now when I did the analysis last week, we're talking, you know, pretty much well into fall. So they're two big different seasons, and I definitely have seasonal content that's geared towards summer and as well as fall and winter. So very likely, you know, some of the summer geared articles went down just because of seasonal issue, nothing to do with anything else really. And same with some of the articles which are geared more toward fall and winter, they increased just because we moved into that season. So it may have nothing to do with the FAQ. So really there are some three pretty potent caveats here. So there's no way I can conclude it's like go out and do, you know, 500 FAQ markups for your sites and spend, you know, umpteen thousands of dollars and you're going to have a huge traffic increase. I don't think that's the case. But here's why I'm doing it. Okay. I think overall the FAQs are good. I've actually been doing FAQ sections in fairly foundational articles on my niche sites for a number of years. I've always liked them because I think they're actually very good for users. I mean, you're looking up common questions that pertain to the topic, and you research a good answer, or your writers research a good answer, and that's very user friendly. And I've also found they really do help for ranking for really, really long tail keywords in Google search. So all around good user experience, good for traffic, good for SEO. So there's really no reason not to do it. The question is whether the markup is worth it. You know, obviously I can't conclude one way or another really. I'm still doing it. I'm slowing down at this whole process, but I still do it for my foundational articles where I add the FAQs as I would have in the past. So, and I will add the markup, but I'm not, you know, cranking out, you know, setting out, okay, every article I have published out there on all my niche sites, I'm going to add an FAQ. I'm not doing that. I'm being pretty selective about what I do. But when I do it, I do the markup, and for any, you know, topic that I cover on a site and I'm doing a real foundational article, I'm actually, you know, setting out 500 to 1500 word FAQ sections just because I think they're really good. So it was an interesting case study. You can actually see all the data that I put together on fatsexblog.com. There's an article there that talks about the FAQ rich snippets, and I've got the whole table data. There's a PDF version. If you're like a numbers person and you want to, you know, look into everything, it's all there. You can check it out. Obviously, I'm not going to, you know, go line by line on video. That would be a real snore. So that pretty much wraps up the case study here that I, you know, could talk about. Check it out on the blog, and if or else not. Thanks for watching.